If you think fatty liver comes from eating fat, you've been lied to. The real culprit is sugar turning your liver into a fat factory. And fixing it doesn't take months of dieting. It can start reversing in just days. Let me show you how. Hi, my name is Marc Bates. I'm a metabolic health coach, and this is a video on liver disease treatment is all wrong. The hidden metabolic truth. Okay, so let's get into this. Why liver disease treatment gets everything wrong. Most hepatologists treat fatty liver disease like a storage problem. Too much fat accumulated over time, requiring slow, gradual removal through calorie restriction and exercise. This fundamental assumption drives every conventional treatment protocol. It also explains why most patients fail to recover. The reality reveals something far more urgent. Liver fat accumulation operates as a dynamic flux problem, not a passive storage issue. Most intrahepatic fat doesn't come from dietary fat consumption. It's manufactured inside liver cells from sugar and refined carbohydrates through a process called de novo lipogenesis. This distinction changes everything about treatment approach and recovery timeline. So, the fructose catastrophe inside your liver cells. When fructose enters hepatocytes, right, liver cells, it triggers an immediate biochemical emergency. Unlike glucose metabolism, which operates under tight regulatory control, fructose bypasses all safety mechanisms. The enzyme fructokinase immediately phosphorylates fructose to fructose 1-phosphate, consuming ATP without any feedback inhibition. This unregulated reaction can rapidly deplete hepatic energy stores. Recent research confirms that fructose metabolism leads to rapid F1P generation, ATP depletion. ATP is, of course, the cellular energy that we all rely on, and consequently uric acid production. Right? Clinical studies demonstrate that ATP levels can fall 20% following oral fructose ingestion, and up to 70% when administered intravenously. This energy crisis sets off a cascade of metabolic dysfunction. ATP breakdown produces AMP, which degrades to uric acid, promoting inflammation and endothelial damage. Meanwhile, excess fructose carbons flood into fatty acid synthesis pathways. The liver essentially drowns in its own fat production. So why ketosis reverses liver damage so rapidly? Transitioning from high fructose consumption to nutritional ketosis creates an immediate metabolic rest. Within days, several critical changes occur at the cellular level. First, removing fructose and glucose eliminate the ATP drain. Hepatic energy stores can finally recover, relieving pressure on mitochondrial function. Second, insulin levels drop dramatically, often by 50 to 80% within 48 hours. This hormonal shift shuts down de novo lipogenesis almost immediately. And that's how the fat in the liver is being built, halting new fat production in liver cells. Third, the metabolic machinery switches from fat synthesis to fat oxidation. Stored triglyceride droplets get hydrolyzed and exported as ketone bodies, creating a rapid clearance mechanism, right? Clinical evidence supports this rapid transformation. A 2020 study published in PNAS demonstrated that a 6-day ketogenic diet resulted in an approximately 30% reduction in intrahepatic triglyceride content even before significant weight loss occurred. This challenges the fundamental assumption that liver fat requires months of gradual reduction. It also points to the fact that your body weight is just a symptom of a metabolic dysfunction, and it may not change rapidly, but you're getting healthier. Okay? So keep that in mind. The biomarker pattern during liver recovery. Liver enzyme behavior during ketogenic transition follows a predictable pattern that reveals the healing process in real time. During the first week, ALT and AST may remain stable or rise modestly in some individuals. This reflects active fat metabolism, mobilization, and hepatic turnover as stored triglycerides get processed and cleared. Nothing to be worried about, right? It happens. GGT typically shows the fastest improvement, often declining within days. Right? This enzyme reflects chronic oxidative stress and biliary pressure, both of which get relieved immediately when fructose-driven ATP depletion stops. By weeks 2 to 4, most patients see ALT drops of 10 to 30% compared to baseline. This correlates directly with reduced intrahepatic fat and inflammation markers. The speed of these changes confounds conventional hepatology, which expects enzyme improvements only after months of gradual weight loss. The next thing you gotta watch for are hidden hepatotoxins that sabotage recovery. Okay, and this is thinking of things that you eat. Even patients following ketogenic protocols can experience persistent liver enzyme elevations due to overlooked hepatotoxic exposures. It's a mouthful. Industrial seed oils represent the most common hidden culprit. Restaurant meals, pre-cooked meats, and processed keto foods often contain canola, soybean, or sunflower oils. These omega-6 rich fats undergo lipid preoxidation in hepatocyte mitochondria, generating toxic aldehydes that damage liver enzymes and cellular membranes. Artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols create another problem. Compounds like sucralose and high-dose xylitol alter gut microbiota, increasing endotoxin leakage that drives hepatic inflammation. Maltitol and sorbitol can even convert to fructose in the liver through polyol pathways. They didn't tell you that on the synthetic sweetener compound label, did they? Plant toxins from keto-friendly foods add additional stress. Nuts, seeds, and dark leafy greens contain lectins, oxalates, and mycotoxins that burden liver detoxification systems during the critical recovery phase. Complete elimination of these exposures often resolves persistent enzyme elevations within weeks. Animal-based nutrients that accelerate healing. Yeah, there's something you can do. Beyond removing hepatotoxins, certain nutrients found exclusively in animal foods actively accelerate liver regeneration and mitochondrial repair. Carnitine from red meat transports long-chain fatty acids into mitochondria for better oxidation, essential for clearing intrahepatic triglyceride droplets. Plant sources provide virtually no bioavailable carnitine. Preformed vitamin A from liver and egg yolks regulates hepatic stellate cells and drives gene transcription for mitochondrial biogenesis. Plant beta-carotene converts inefficiently, especially in individuals with existing liver stress. Right? Heme iron from red meat and organ meats integrates directly into cytochromes in the mitochondrial electron transport chain. Non-heme iron from plants gets bound by phytates and absorbs poorly. Choline from egg yolks and liver packages fat for export as VLDL particles, which is good. That's what you want. Preventing triglyceride accumulation during recovery. It works synergistically with B12 and methionine to support methylation and detoxification pathways. Every once in a while the words I get tongue-tied, right? And remember, B12 is not available in plants either, okay? These nutrients create a metabolic environment optimized for rapid hepatic repair that plant-based approaches cannot replicate. So let's think about your liver specialist, right? So we're going to reframe the hepatologist conversation you're going to have if your doctor tells you have fatty liver, and the liver specialist is going to talk to you about how to fix this. When presenting this metabolic approach to skeptical physicians, the most compelling argument focuses on mechanistic evidence rather than dietary philosophy. Okay? Stable isotope studies consistently demonstrate that 26 to 38% of liver triglyceride in NAFLD comes directly from de novo lipogenesis, while less than 15% derives from dietary fat consumption. This means conventional low-fat recommendations addressing the wrong metabolic pathway. Clinical trials show ketogenic diets outperform calorie-restricted low-fat approaches for intrahepatic fat reduction, even when total weight loss remains matched between groups. The biomarker response timeline provides additional evidence. ALT and GGT improvements of 30 to 50% within 2 to 4 weeks occurring before significant weight loss demonstrate that NAFLD, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, right, represents a dynamic overflow phenomenon rather than passive fat storage. This reframes the entire treatment paradigm from slow caloric deficit to immediate metabolic intervention. Don't take time fixing your liver. Get on it immediately. Okay? So, breaking the calorie paradigm, mental barrier. The biggest obstacle preventing both patients and physicians from adopting metabolic approaches stems from a fundamental misconception about liver fat origin. Most people assume fatty liver results from eating too much dietary fat. This belief drives the persistent focus on calorie restriction and low-fat diets. The metabolic reality operates differently. Liver fat gets manufactured primarily from glucose and fructose, right, through insulin-driven de novo lipogenesis, right? And just think about it. When you drink, let's say, a soft drink that's made with high fructose corn syrup, right? You're getting a whole bunch of sugar, but you're getting even more fructose. It's high fructose. Usually it's like 60% is fructose and 40% is glucose or sucrose. I mean, you gotta really be careful with that stuff. Okay? The liver, so the majority of your liver fat, once again, is manufactured primarily from glucose and fructose through insulin-driven de novo lipogenesis. The flux of fat into hepatocytes is hormonally regulated, not calorie dependent. Effective analogies help shift this perspective. NAFLD resembles a bathtub with the tap left running, rather than a slowly filling container. Closing the tap, eliminating the fructose and reducing insulin, stops the overflow far faster than slowly scooping water out through calorie restriction. Patients often experience this paradigm shift when they see rapid biomarker improvements despite minimal weight loss. The objective data proves the problem isn't total calories but metabolic signaling. Okay? So let's talk a little bit about the future of metabolic medicine in here. If this flux-based understanding of liver disease became mainstream medical practice, it would fundamentally transform chronic disease prevention and treatment across all specialties. Hepatology would shift from damage management to metabolic reset protocols. Primary therapy would focus on nutritional interventions that switch off hepatic de novo lipogenesis and restore mitochondrial function rather than slow calorie restriction, i.e., we get to the root cause of the problem and we fix it there. Okay? Not looking for pharmaceuticals to fix it. Endocrinology would reframe type 2 diabetes as carbohydrate intolerance, treatable through carbohydrate restriction instead of escalating through insulin therapy. Cardiology would address insulin-driven endothelial dysfunction rather than focusing solely on LDL cholesterol levels. Nutrition guidelines would undergo complete revision. Sugar and refined carbohydrate restriction would become first-line prevention for chronic disease. Dietary recommendations would emphasize ancestral animal-based nutrient density while eliminating industrial seed oils and processed foods as standard public health policy. Healthcare economics would transform dramatically. Instead of lifelong medicine regimes for diabetes, hypertension, and dyslipidemia, patients would undergo targeted metabolic interventions that restore insulin sensitivity and liver function, potentially eliminating many chronic conditions entirely. The predicted cost of NASH treatment in the United States alone approaches $1.66 trillion, right? Over the NASH is fatty liver, okay? Is one of the names for fatty liver. Metabolic interventions could prevent most of these cases before they develop. So you want to know why the government's running out of money and why healthcare costs are rising? There you go. Metabolic interventions could prevent most of these cases before they develop. Preventative medicine would focus on metabolic monitoring from early life using insulin, triglycerides, and postprandial glucose responses as primary indicators rather than waiting for late-stage disease markers like HbA1c markers, which happen usually far later in the progression of the disease. This represents a fundamental shift from managing chronic disease decline to restoring optimal human metabolism. This is one of my hallmarks that I always talk about. Our goal here is not to manage the disease, but to make you feel better and to make you actually healthy again, right? And so we get right to the root cause and let's fix the problem. Let's not just mask it. Okay? So, healthcare would stop treating human biology like a simple calorie calculator and start addressing the complex hormonal signaling systems that actually control metabolic health. The liver's metabolic signaling problem, once properly understood, could replace the calorie myth as the foundation of medicine. Instead of counting calories, let's look at liver function. Instead, that tells a whole lot more about how healthy you are. This would enable true disease prevention rather than just earlier diagnosis and symptom management. Okay? Just on a side note, I was talking with a Chinese doctor of the Oriental traditional medicine, right? Chinese doctor, and he also did Ayurvedic, which is Indian natural medicine. And one of the things they focus on is looking at ways of healing the liver. Now, my problem with their functions, and these are really nice people, is that they don't do a lot of the testing that we can do, and they certainly don't understand the cellular biology that shows that it's meat that solves the liver's problems. Okay, so but they're on the right track. If your liver's unhealthy, you're unhealthy. Okay, so most chronic diseases share the same metabolic root cause: excess carbohydrate and insulin flux, mitochondrial overload, and nutrient deficiencies. Addressing these fundamental imbalances through targeted nutritional interventions could eliminate the need for most pharmaceutical management of metabolic disorders. The transformation starts with recognizing that liver disease represents a signal problem, not a storage problem. Once this paradigm shift occurs, the path to recovery becomes clear, rapid, and sustainable. Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section. Any items you're interested in, leave it in the comment section. This is a community. I'm here to try to answer your questions. If there's something that you'd like me to cover, let me know. Tell me what you're looking for, and we'll try to provide that to the community. Because if you're looking for it, a bunch of other people are too. I guarantee that part. All right. If you haven't done so, do subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a friend. It helps the channel a great deal, so thank you very much for that. And it will help a lot of other people. So have a great day.